Oh, yeah. Today I thought I would meet up with a friend of mine, Xaviero, who is from the USA, to get a little bit of a perspective on what his experience has been being in Australia, because it's one thing being an Australian and thinking your country comes across, or the people come across a certain way, but let's actually dive in and see if some hard truths about Australia. For example, I only got an insight into how Australians are perceived when I went to other countries. When I was in Italy, for example, I was told that the perception of Aussie ladies are that we're sexually liberal and take it up the thought, I'm sorry, what? I'm curious to know what an American's experience is living in Australia and the kind of cultural shock that might have happened. So here with my good friend, Xaviero, 100% American beef. I guess the first question is, what is the number one question you get asked?
Every day it's the same question. So the number one question I get asked is basically, why would you come from LA and be in Australia? Why would you leave home to come here?
Yeah, because see, the thing is, for people who aren't familiar with maybe the creative arts, Australians tend to view Hollywood or LA as the mecca, as the place to go to have any level of success, particularly in acting, voice acting, the creative arts, music, all of that in general. So we kind of find it weird, why would an American come here? Because you get everything over in the US, isn't that like it's... So what do you respond when you get asked that question, why would an American come here?
I came here because I wanted a new lifestyle. I mean, I wanted to visit the country, obviously, because Americans don't really travel. We don't get out of our own country very often. And for me, I was one of those who actually liked to travel. I traveled very young, and then I got the opportunity to come to Australia after meeting two Australians in California who really talked it up. And I was like, oh, fantastic, I'm going, you know. They were both from Adelaide. They were from Sydney.
Talking up Adelaide, yeah.
So that was pretty awesome. Anyway, that got me thinking, and the next thing I knew, I took a flight over here to see and have a look at the country. And look, honestly, it's very similar to California, where I'm from. The culture, the way of life, how we think, what we do, our sports, drinking, you know, our barbecues, everything. And here I am, 20 years later.
Wow. Okay. So you look like you have a tan. That was my first impression of you. I was like, wow, he's got a real tan. Are you able to explain this?
Yes, I'm definitely able to explain this. I'm actually Puerto Rican, and that's kind of a weird thing being from California, because most of California is Hispanic, but it's mostly Mexican. There's not a lot of Hispanic people here, and most of the ones that you do see are from South American.
Okay, so I'm going to touch the race topic, because Australia, in some circles, there is talk that Australia is a little bit racist. Have you struck any racism yourself here at all? No,
not for me personally, not for my culture actually, but what I have struck is being American. You know, it is something that is looked at. Look, different people have their opinions, but walking down the street and you start talking, guys as Americans are very loud, we use our hands a lot. People turn around.
Yeah, loud, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's funny you say that, because I just had to cut because it just got crazy loud and people started walking past and stopping and staring, which is just like, we're not that entertaining, right? Oh, it's because it's loud. Okay, so we're on this topic of Americans being loud. I know that we can hear an American from a mile away. They just talk louder. I think in World War II that there was a nickname other than Yank that the Aussies had for the American soldiers. They called them gobs, G-O-B-S. Basically gob means mouth, so they're all mouth because they were just talking and they were loud. So that was like, it wasn't meant to be offensive, it was more just, oh, there's the gob, there's the American. So,
yeah, it took me a while.
Did you know that?
I didn't, I never heard the word before. There's a lot of words I haven't heard before, honestly, guys, and I've been here for a long time. But gob was not one of them, it's an old term. So when I first heard that, it was kind of offensive because, hey,
we don't talk loud.
I don't walk around with my mouth open all day.
But Like I know, because I know Zab. I'm able to ask these like little side questions. But what have you noticed now that you've been here for a while with how loud Americans talk? Is there anything?
Oh, it's funny, now that you've been here for 20 years, you hear it differently. Like when I first got off the plane, it was just normal. But now when I hear another American, female or male, and even in a bar, it cracks ice. You can hear it. It's so sharp that I can spot another American a mile away and what state they're from. So so I kind of understand what Australians are saying. I absolutely get it.
Shut up! Mind you, when Australians get on the drink, it's so embarrassing. Yeah.
Americans, and this is where we're very similar. Americans are very similar, and Californians are extremely similar. When we get on the piss, we're the same. That's a word I picked up here, by the way. We don't say that back in California.
So you can drink, get pissed, meaning get drunk. Drink, you're on the piss, meaning you're on the drink. You're drinking alcohol. There's a lot of so we use a lot of slang here and a lot of abbreviations. Did you strike that when you first?
Oh my God,
arrived?
are you kidding? Yeah, it's like the only really abbreviation we use as Americans is TV for television.
Oh yeah.
Here they use telly. Yeah, brekkie for breakfast. I'm like, what?
Okay, avocado is
avo.
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 Yeah,
Avo. Avo.
Afternoon is
avo.
Avo.
I got it. See, this is really hard for me, okay? I've been here a long time, and I still don't get it. And again, with people's names as well.
Yep.
So, they abbreviate Jono. So there's like an O after everybody's name. Davo, Maiko.
Yeah, so have you noticed anything different between the way customers are treated here or the way people do business in Australia culturally?
Yeah, I guess I'll start with the retail aspect of it. When I first came to Australia, everything was closed. And being from the Americas, and being from California specifically, everything is open. Obviously, we're there to make money. So.
Oh, you mean like all the time, like 24 hours?
No. Just like on Sundays, for example, it was Sundays were actually just closed. They just closed on Sundays, and that's one of our big selling days. Then as time went on, what they started to do was they started to open, but they close early. So again, I didn't understand that part of it because it's a money maker day. Everybody's out and about. You want to make the money.
What about customer service or the way? Because I know in America they have tipping.
That's correct.
So we don't have that here.
No.
You can tell an Aussie or probably any foreigner overseas was because we're just like trying to figure out and stressing about, I don't want to be offensive and not give enough, but how much do I, and then you start tipping people who aren't usually supposed to get tips, and then it just becomes weird, and then, So we just don't do it here. We generally have a minimum wage.
So Australians don't tip. They don't get tips here. So when I gave my first tip, it freaked somebody out when I gave this girl a tip when I first arrived. She was obviously ecstatic. She asked me, should I keep it? I said, yes, I've given this to you. This is for the service you've given me.
My boss? Yeah, that'd be concerned.
But the service alone, when I arrived here 20 years ago, the service was not where I think it should be. It was, you don't get free refills. You don't get someone coming to your table and asking, hey, is there anything else I can get you? It just wasn't happening. I had to wave them down. 20 years later, it really hasn't changed, unfortunately. It's pretty much the same. And that's just the way it is. And again, don't forget, they don't get tips. So it's not that they don't want to serve you, but it's just that there's no
incentive.
That's exactly
to go above and beyond.
That's right. That's exactly right. So
do you find do people get treated like at work, like here, or in the States? Do you find that there's a reason why people don't want to go over and above?
Yeah.
Because I get treated like shit, and I get made to feel guilty if I take a day of leave or if I get sick or something like.
Look, we have that back in the States as well. I mean, I guess having tips makes up for that. But here in Australia, people do get run into the ground, and Australians, they don't take it, right? They take their time off.
There's something called sickies. Just to interrupt you there, if you don't know, right? So
sicky days.
Sickies.
Took me a while for this one because again, being back from the States, we do take sick days, guys. We do, but we don't do it often. We're workaholics. We work really hard. Here, if they get, if anything happens or they feel like, they've had a tough day, they'll take that day off. That's a sicky day, and they always usually do it when it's Friday, so it's Friday, Saturday, and
long
Sunday.
Weekend. Woo!
That's right. Same thing with their holidays, by the way. Long weekends. They take off that Monday, or take off the Friday and the Monday.
Yeah.
So nice long weekend for them.
Have you noticed? I know when I went to the States, I was so broke. I went to Chicago, and it was like the dollar, Australian dollar with the American dollar was just eating. Anyway, it was sad. Did you notice when you came here? Did you notice anything to do with the prices, how expensive it is in Australia to live? Like,
definitely when I first arrived here, I was very lucky because the dollar was so high for us as Americans. So I actually doubled my money when I first came here. It was 40 cents to the American dollar.
oh, that just kills us.
But but as time went on, I realized that now I'm making Australian dollars. I can see where the prices start to go up. So for example, your cars, think of something back in the States, it's like say 30,000. That car now is 60 to 80,000.
The
So
cost of
everything's going
cars
up.
here, in a basic car, you're looking at about $50,000 for like the average family sedan. It's just,
That's
that was
correct.
normal to us. And I didn't know that in the States you could get a car for, even secondhand for $5,000. We're like,
Yeah,
what?
easily get for $5,000. And then of course, your McDonald's, your basic stuff that you're used to back in the States, even the prices there are to another half, double of what it usually is. And again, this is a funny one, is because with regards to the condiments, the condiments in the States are free. You can go up, get salt and pepper, you can get ketchup, anything you want.
That's crazy.
Here, paid for.
Yeah.
You have to pay for it. That's why when Australians come to America, they just shovel it into their handbag.
You got free sauce.
It's like, oh my God, you got free sauce?
You call it ketchup.
Yeah, we call it
You call it
ketchup.
tomato sauce. Yeah. Yeah. No, we have to pay for it here. So it's probably 50 cents, sometimes $1.
That's right.
Or those little packs that squeeze onto you.
And of course you're going to say no because it's too expensive.
We gotta prove this. Let's go and get a meat pie, something really Australian, and then I can demonstrate how to eat it. Probably demonstrate how not to eat it.
Yeah, I'm going to make a fool of myself. Let's go ahead and do this.
Really Australian thing to do.
Great, thank you. Ooh, okay. Yeah, look at that, Aussie beef. Pie face. It's like an iconic Aussie pie brand. So the test is here. Can an American eat an Australian pie and actually know how to eat a pie? Now pie here is meat pie. Okay, so you're expecting, here we go, look at this. Okay, you have to make sure that you're not eating it over your chest. Like, you have to lean. There's a very specific leaning.
I got a white shirt on.
Here we go. There we go. Let's have a look at that meat. Oh yeah.
I'm losing it.
And this is the variety of meat pies we have. See, it's not just like, the standard is the classic mince. But there's like chunky steak, chicken, bacon, oh my gosh.